The man who controls Caitlin Clark's future just lost someone who can never be replaced. On March 23, 2026, David Simon, nephew of Herb Simon, CEO of Simon Property Group, the financial backbone behind everything Pacers sports and entertainment has ever built, died of cancer at 64 years old. Gone, just like that. And here's what nobody's talking about. Herb Simon is 91. He's the longest tenured owner in NBA history. He controls the Indiana Pacers, the Indiana Fever, and now he's watching his family empire fracture in real time. So, what does this mean for Caitlin Clark's championship window? Why should every single Fever fan be paying very close attention to what happens next? Let's get into it. First, the numbers, because the numbers tell you everything. Herb Simon's net worth sits at roughly $6.6 billion. Simon Property Group, the company he and his late brother Mel co-founded 65 years ago, owns over 250 shopping malls across the country. It's the largest retail real estate company on the planet. David Simon ran that company for nearly 30 years, named CEO at 33 years old, built it into a machine, and on March 23rd, that machine lost its driver. His son, Eli Simon, has already been appointed the new CEO. The board says they have full confidence in his leadership. Fine. But Eli is stepping into shoes that took David 3 decades to fill, during a time when retail real estate is under more pressure than ever. Now here's where it gets personal for Fever fans. Herb Simon retired from Simon Property Group back in February of 2025, stepped down as chairman emeritus. That was the first signal. The patriarch pulling back. His designated successor for Pacers Sports and Entertainment, the legal entity that owns both the Pacers and the Fever. His son, Steve Simon. Steve's the alternate governor. That's the official NBA title for a recognized co-owner. He's been involved in budgeting, strategic planning, tech partnerships. He even pushed the Fever to become the first WNBA franchise to live stream games from the bubble back in 2020. But Steve Simon is not David Simon. David had the corporate empire. David had the financial infrastructure. David had the relationships with Wall Street, with the board, with the institutional investors who make billion-dollar real estate portfolios actually function. Without David, the bridge between the Simon family's sports investments and their financial engine just got a lot thinner. And remember, there's someone else circling this franchise. Steven Rales, the billionaire who holds a 20% equity stake in Pacers Sports and Entertainment. 20%. That's not a passive investment. That's a seat at the table. That's leverage. Rales isn't just watching, he's waiting. Because when a 91-year-old owner's family structure shifts, when the CEO of the parent company dies unexpectedly, that's when minority owners start asking very different questions. Questions about valuation, about control, about the future. Now, here's the twist that makes this even more complicated. The Fever just unveiled renderings for a $78 million practice facility, the Indiana Fever Sports Performance Center, 108,000 square feet, 3 stories, dual practice courts, a recovery suite, a chef-driven nutrition program, a content studio, a hair and nail salon, childcare spaces. This thing is the most advanced training facility in WNBA history. And on the surface, it looks like Herb Simon finally opened his wallet. It looks like the Fever are all in on Caitlin Clark's era. But dig deeper. That facility was announced in January of 2025, with no public input, no bidding process. The city handed over prime downtown real estate from a demolished jail site. Community advocates said it should have been affordable housing. Instead, it's a building that serves a handful of players on land that could have served thousands of residents. And the taxes generated from that site? Part of them are being redirected into a special tax district to help fund a potential MLS soccer stadium. So the question isn't just, is Herb Simon investing in the Fever? The question is, who is that investment really designed to benefit? Here's what really stung. Back in February, Sophie Cunningham, one of the most popular players on this Fever roster, went on her podcast and was asked which WNBA owners are truly player first. She named New York's Clara Woodside. That's the Brooklyn Nets ownership group. She named Phoenix's Matt Ishbia, the Suns owner. She named Seattle's ownership group led by Don Trudeau. She did not name Herb Simon. She didn't say his name. She didn't mention the Fever. And when you're one of the most outspoken players in the league and you deliberately leave your own team's ownership out of the conversation about who cares about players, that silence says everything. And now look at what's happening this offseason. The Fever re-signed Kelsey Mitchell to a 3-year supermax, $1 million. They brought back Sophie Cunningham on a 1-year deal. They re-signed Lexi Hull. They added Monique Billings from the Valkyries. On paper, solid moves. But the draft is tonight. The Fever picked 10th. Most mock drafts have them taking a guard, maybe Tanya Latson from South Carolina, maybe Gabriela Jaquez from UCLA, a backup for Clark, a role player, not a franchise-altering piece. And this is what Herb Simon's Fever have always done. Enough to compete, never enough to dominate, always just close enough to keep the fans hopeful, but never quite willing to go all the way. And the timing makes it worse. The WNBA just signed a $2.2 billion media rights deal that kicks in this season. The league is exploding. Revenue sharing is coming under the new CBA. Every franchise in this league is about to become significantly more valuable and more expensive to run properly. This isn't the time for ownership instability. This is the time to go all in. Last year proved it. Caitlin Clark played 13 games before injury shut her down. And you know what? The Fever still made the semifinals, pushed the Aces to 5 games. Kelsey Mitchell averaged over 20 points a game. Stephanie White coached her heart out. They did that with one hand tied behind their back. Now, imagine what this team could do with an owner who's truly all in. An owner who doesn't just build a shiny facility to generate headlines, but invests in the kind of roster depth that turns a contender into a champion. But here's the cold truth, and this is the part nobody wants to say out loud. Herb Simon is 91 years old. He saved the Pacers from extinction back in 1983 when he and Mel bought the franchise for $11 million. Indiana basketball owes its existence to the Simon family. That's real. That's history. That cannot be erased. But legacies don't protect championships. Loyalty doesn't fill roster spots, and gratitude doesn't win you a title. Caitlin Clark is 24. She is the most marketable athlete in women's sports. She's already brought the Fever from 4,000 fans a game to 17,000. She's generated millions in revenue. She's changed the entire trajectory of this franchise. And right now, the man who controls her professional future is dealing with a family tragedy, a crumbling corporate succession, and a minority owner who may not wait much longer to make his move. The clock isn't just ticking on the 2026 season, it's ticking on the entire ownership structure of this franchise. And if the wrong decisions get made in the next 12 months, Caitlin Clark's best years could be wasted inside an empire that's falling apart from the inside. This is the story nobody's telling. But now, you know.